Okay, alright, I'm gonna go through the patch notes just a second, but for those of you that just want a quick little video and don't want to listen to me talk about patch notes, Eltharion is OP! Eltharion is OP now, it's true. We'll go over it in the patch notes a little bit, but he did get a health increase, but that's not what we care about. Mistwalker's Barrage got entirely changed. Well, okay, it didn't get entirely changed, it just got a bunch more projectiles. It went from 15 to 50. And that means a lot. So every about 30 seconds or so, he's going to pump out a Mistwalker Barrage. And just look how much damage it does here. To Cold One, Dread Knights, and the Harganeth Executioners. It also got a weird angle, like the Pigeon Bombs of the Empire. Oh, that's a pretty good amount of damage. Every 30 seconds for 200 gold. That is definitely worth it. It's so good at helping out this, like, duelist mage hybrid character clear out infantry that are around him, or even cav that are trying to stop him from escaping. It just does a lot. A lot of damage for him. I think he's going to be the best High Elf Lord. Maybe not by far, because I think a cheap caster brings some stuff that he maybe doesn't, but I do think he is going to be the best High Elf Lord. But he's just sitting in Harganeth Executioners right now, and Cold One Dread Knights, another Mistwalker Barrage out. Yeah, man, it just does a lot of damage. Look at it go. Because you're only paying 200 more gold for it, so that's... You're always going to get it to pay for itself now. And that's really cool. It might be a little overtuned, considering how much damage he was doing to stuff for, like, multiplayer, but, yeah. No, it's good. We'll have an Eltharion meta for a bit, which I guess he deserves that after all these years. Alrighty, let's go over these patch notes. This is the best patch I've seen. I think this is the best patch I've ever seen in my history of covering Total War Warhammer. It's insanely good. Now, if you don't know anything about me, I cover multiplayer, mostly land battles, so I'm going to skip over some campaign stuff, because I say this all the time during my live streams and people get on my ship for it, but essentially, I play campaign very casually, and I am not an expert on it at all, so offering my opinions doesn't do you any good. It would just be me reading you the patch notes at that point. So I am going to just skim through it and talk about my feelings on how it changes the multiplayer meta, but that's something I feel confident to talk about, which is why I skip the campaign stuff, right? Because you out there honestly probably know more about campaign than I do. I'm not going to be a helpful source of information on that, right? So let's get on with it. Nurgle army ability, point generation, we saw that in the early access coverage, so I'm not going to talk about it more. Homing projectile refinement is pretty interesting. Previously, most projectiles would all aim for the exact same model. Now it looks like they're going to spread out and do more damage to multi-entity models. Could be interesting, especially to try and get Spirit Leech and like direct damage spells and then healing out of the meta. Buffing up projectile spells could be pretty good. Could be. Blue Fire of Zinch might be toxic again, though. We'll see. This is a huge one. Pursuit behavior. People have been constantly complaining about how bad units are at chasing off other units. This change looks like it's going to really up the damage on chasing up stuff. Essentially, the short version of it is 35% of a chasing unit used to try and interact while the others would just walk around. Now it's every single model will try and get in there and deal some damage. That should hopefully up some damage. Skipping through some stuff that doesn't really matter. It's just UI improvements where things look cute and stuff. Domination got a bunch of quality of life changes, but I don't really play Domination, so I don't know it. But it took out some of the maps that people hated in quick battles, and then also changed the way you can make tickets. You can change the game length or when the tickets unlock or lock and whatever. I also know that I was playing some games with early access people, even Domination games, and I think the points open right away now, so there's not as much of a stall. Alright, skipping forward. All spell mastery items and abilities got buffs. I think they're really trying to make spell mastery more of a thing you plan around rather than a thing you just happen to get and you just shrug it off. Also, this is huge. As you just saw at the start of this video, Mistwalker's Barrage got a massive buff. It can no longer damage allies, and then it has way more projectiles. It's amazing now. Moving on, Blood Statue of Spite, gigantic nerf from 4 uses down to 2. That is a big hit against Slans, but we'll get to that later. More stuff is getting a bunch of spell mastery, like a bunch of spell mastery. So you'll probably see spell mastery items get taken now. They almost never were before. Spells, nothing really of note except for this. Vengeance of Spirits was bugged, so the whole last patch it was acting more like Traderkin than Flock of Doom. It's supposed to be like Flock of Doom, so now it is. Other than that, nothing really crazy here. Blue Fire of Zinch might have more penetration. It says it used to be stopped by large, now it's stopped by medium? Wait, that would be less penetration. But the new homing thing is supposed to make it distribute, but it has less explosion radius. So I think they're trying to make sure it doesn't still clear out infantry like it used to. So I think they're trying to nerf it because the projectile changes will buff it. I don't know where it lands. Dweller's Blow is insane, but you've seen that on this channel already. And Murderous Mastery, the entire Dark Elf... no, only Mastery, so it's not going to affect everything. But anyway, the Dark Elf army passive now gives 20% armor-piercing missile damage if you have Mastery, not Prowess. Catechism spells skip more spell mastery buffs as we've been talking about, so I'm just going to keep scrolling past. And then we all saw the gyrocopter changes in the early access content. Beastmen, no changes. Bretonia. Lewin actually took a hit point nerf, which is different than every other Hippogriff mount in the game. So they are trying to nerf down Bretonia a little bit. And then Grail Guardians, Royal Hippogriff Knights, and Grail Knights all got cost increases to just try and nerf Bretonia a little bit. Dark Elves, no changes. Oh, Hargath Executioner, ROR got ITP. Cool. Dwarves, we've talked about them ad nauseum with all the early access content, so again, I'm going to kind of skip through it. Some notable changes is I didn't notice Iron Drakes have flaming attacks now, which is pretty huge. Other than that, it's all just the rework DLC stuff we've been talking about. All Jade Warrior variants, whether it's Halberds, regular, crosswomen, or crosswomen with shields, they all lost 10 armor. Nice little nerf. Cathay, still very strong, but I'm sure with other factions getting strong now, they'll be less of a standout, and then losing 10 armor off your whole front line's kind of impactful. Greenskins, nice change for domination, but also for land battles, is Squig Herds and Orc Barbarians got a cost increase, and Stone Trolls got a mass increase, which means their initial charge will do more damage. Greenskins got a Feral Wyvern, and it's already getting nerfed down to 1,600 gold from 1,500, so take that, people who wanted to use the Feral Wyvern. High Elves, this is not indicating how much things have changed for the High Elves. I think the Imric meta is dead. I'm going out on that limb. Eltharion's going to take over, because then you don't have to spend money on a Lifecaster and Imric. Eltharion's cheaper than Imric, and he's better at clearing out crowds than Imric is, and he's a fine duelist, but he's also your spellcaster. I really think the Eltharion meta is coming, and he did get 1,300 more hit points? That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Khorne got a ton of buffs, so there's going to be a big systematic buff that Khorne benefits from, but also Khorne specifically got buffs. So they got some cost decreases off their Lord and then his mounts options. But here's a big change for all demonic units. Well, pretty much all demonic units in the entire game got leadership buffs. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 10. I'm not going to list every single one, but if it's a demonic unit, it probably got a fucking leadership buff. So Khorne's going to benefit from that on his Bloodthirster. Exalted Heroes got cheaper. Marauders got cheaper. But see, Marauders aren't demonic units, so they're also getting buffs. So Khorne's getting double frontline buffs. His Marauders are cheaper overall by 25 gold. His Chaos Warriors are cheaper by 50 gold. His Chosen are cheaper by 50 gold. Forsaken, for some reason, like the worst infantry Khorne already had isn't getting a buff, but whatever. And then all of his Bloodletters are getting more leadership, so they're less easy to demonic instability crumble. That's going to be pretty darn cool. Kislev took a lot of nerfs. Kislevite warriors lost melee defense and armor-piercing weapon damage. Armored Kossars of both variants lost pistol damage. And then winged lancers and things in the woods got cost increases. Lizardmen took more nerfs. Slans lost hit points. And remember, the Blood Statue of Despite is down half of its uses. And then their skink front lines that they love to spam got increased by differing amounts of gold plus their feral cold ones. So all of their cheap, super cost-effective garbage got nerfed, and their Slans got nerfed. Two really good changes for the Lizardmen. This one confuses me. Norska, for some reason, got nerfed. Norscan Ice Trolls got a cost increase for, like, no reason, and they lost some armor-piercing damage. I don't know why. Norscan Ice Trolls were hardly the meta. I honestly think they were a bad unit. I don't know why they're getting nerfed. It might be a domination thing. It might be A campaign thing? I don't know. Whatever. I don't know why Norse is catching a stray. They're not a bad faction, so this isn't like kicking a dead horse, but like they're not that good either. They're just like fine. Nurgle, I'm not going to talk about any of the DLC changes. Again, we've been covering that for weeks now. You get it. But let's see if anything else changed. Again, all the demonic units getting more leadership, making demonic instability much less punishing. And then the Beast of Nurgle did get immune to flanking plus 10 more melee attack, which is pretty huge. I still don't think the Beast of Nurgle is going to get taken a bunch, but whatever. Skaven got no changes. That does make me rather sad, but we'll see how it pans out with the new meta and all the new stuff going on. I think Skaven are going to fall lower on tier lists. And though I disagree with a lot of people on where Skaven are, I think it's hard to I think it's hard to disagree that they'll fall on tier lists. It's just for me, they might go from C to D or stay in C. For some people, they might go from like B to C. But I do think they're going to fall very far behind. Slaanesh got some buffs, some recruitment cost stuff. Cultists finally got a bug fixed where they got their ITP that they should have had this whole time because they have the Mark of Slaanesh. And then, of course, the Slaanesh demons got leadership buffs. For the Empire, same as I've said with the other DLC races, but we'll see if there's anything that's notable. Silver Shield for General of the Empire. Any Griffin mounts got about 1,000 HP buff. Try and keep them applicable. Witch Hunter we've talked about ad nauseum. Then there's some campaign units getting buffs. Alarielle's grenade launcher is getting 100 gold on top of them. Is pretty nutty. And War Wagons, we have talked about this, but it is different than I thought. They lost some speed and they lost some armor. Along with the new way that they shoot their guns, they already took a bit of a damage nerf. Then they took some armor and speed nerfs. Tomb Kings. Tomb Prince, for some reason, got 100 extra gold to be on his chariot, even though no one's ever taken him on that ever. And then some of their RORs got increases in leadership. Tzeentch. Whoa. Chaos Lord of Tzeentch buff, slightly on cost. Oh, okay. I misread that as 1,300 or 1,100, so I was just being stupid. Minor buffs for his cost. The Melee Lord of Tzeentch and the Melee Hero of Tzeentch gets the same treatment. Zongors, that's single player only, so ignore that. And then his leadership got the buffs everybody else got too. So some Tzeentch buffs. They didn't need it, but whatever. Coast and Counts untouched. I don't know how I feel about that. Counts, I feel like need a little bit of love on several of their forgotten units. Right now they rely very heavily on their Lord and then Vargeist carrying the game for them. Coast are fine, so I'm fine with them not getting a change. Zarthoriel got a little bit of a demonic buff, and then minor cost decreases for a couple specific mount options. Wood Elves, Orion can fire in 360-degree arcs, and then that moves us on to campaign, and things like that. Nothing else here that I read through that really made much of a difference. They're just small little tweaks. So this is a very, very impactful patch. If we go through things, let's point. I'm going to point out things that I think undergo a significant change. So let's count the factions that get a significant change. Tzeentch. Empire. Because we didn't talk about their changes, but the DLC is huge for them. I won't say Slaanesh is significant, but it's close, getting all of these, leadership increases. But I won't put Slaanesh on there. I don't think it's significant. I think it's just nice. Nurgle got a significant change. Lizardmen got a really significant change. Kislev got a significant change. Khorne got a significant change. High Elves, I think Eltharion is a significant change. I really, really do. He's such a different style of Lord that it gives them an option besides Imric or super cheap caster, mage, and going really wide. Like, Eltharion gives them that middle option. I think High Elves will be a lot more flexible now. Greenskin's got some nerfs, but I won't say it's significant. Grand Cathay also wasn't significant. Dwarves were significant. Bretonnia wasn't significant, though there were some changes. So that brings me to 8. 8 factions out of 24 in the entire game got significant changes. 8! That's a third of the rosters got significant changes. That is so many to put into one DLC. And of the OP factions, what did we have? We had Kislev, Grand Cathay, Lizardmen, Bretonnia, Kislev, Grand Cathay, Lizardmen, Bretonnia, and Tzeentch were like the 5 really, really good ones. All of them got nerfed? Yeah, all of them got nerfed to differing degrees, but they did all get nerfed. Wait, no, Zinch got buffed. Zinch did get buffed because of the demonic stuff and the cost decreases. So 4 of the 5 OPs got nerfed. And then Korn got buffs, which was pretty nice. That's cool. Demonic units got buffs, which they all really, really needed. So, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. It is, I think the dwarves are going to be overtuned, for sure. And I think they will need nerfs. But, like, it'll be fun for a bit. And I hope that there is balance coming soon for the dwarves. And I'm hosting a very, very big tournament on this patch, the Warpstone Cup, so I'm glad it's not a disaster of a patch. It should be quite fun, and I'm very excited for that big tournament. If you want to sign up for it, you have till May 18th. Go check out my video on that it's on the channel. I'm not going to explain it here. Goodbye. Rawr. Subscribe, yes, yes.